Good morning, Tony. Episode 9. Yeah, last
Yes,
episode
we
was
are.
pretty good. We're starting to see some good organic views and likes and new
Yeah.
subscribers joining the
Yeah.
following. So that's great to see.
Thank you, all new subscribers. Welcome.
Anything fun this week or this weekend that you did?
No,
No?
nothing. I
No?
wish. My life is,
How's the weather out there?
a bit rainy, but this past couple of days has been like pretty beautiful. It's like nice and sunny. So that side of it's been good.
Yeah. We had some sunny days here last week as well.
Else.
Well, we've got some cool stories to talk about this week. First one is about Tesla, one of our favorite companies to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And last week, a bunch of things happened last week and over the weekend. One is that several media outlets were reporting that Tesla had pulled their low cost EV car. And so, if you're not aware of kind of what Tesla has been marching toward, or what we were told that they were marching toward is a low cost EV, which makes sense. Like right now, their Tesla's cheapest model starts at about 38,000, I think, which is the
Yeah,
Model
that's right.
3 standard range plus basic model. And it makes sense that Tesla needs to create a cheaper, more affordable car to continue growing. And uh, they've always been rumored to be working on that as one of their next generation cars. But last week, several outlets had reported that they had scrapped those plans due to some of the lower EV demand that we have to start this year. But over the weekend, Tesla had denied those claims. Elon Musk also tweeted that robotaxis will be unveiled on August 8th of this year, which caused a stir in the Xverse as well as a scramble in the news world to kind of cover that. I think so. One initial observation I made was that people were correlating robotaxis with the low cost EV model.
Mm.
And I wasn't necessarily sure if that's what Elon Musk meant. Like he
Yeah.
didn't say low cost EV robotaxi. He just
Mm.
said robotaxis will be announced on 8/8.
It actually makes me think, when was this? Way back when it was one of the investor days, I believe, where he introduced his idea of not only will your Tesla, you'll be able to make money off your Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
You can rent it out as part of our taxi network. Do you remember that?
I think this is probably 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years
Yeah,
ago. I think it's
you're
when
right.
they announced.
Many years ago.
I think it's when they announced the Model Y. I want to say it was around that time.
I forget. It was one of his investor days, and it was like one of those out there things where it's just they prepared this whole entire thing without really having a roadmap. He's just like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do soon. And so when I saw this news, that's what I
Mm-hmm.
thought back to, was the idea that Tesla owners would be able to basically put their Tesla on the rental market, and then Tesla's taxi network would basically leverage existing cars to basically power. It's like the whatever the Uber of I can't think of an Uber
The
of
Uber of the future.
Uber of the future. But yeah, so that's what I thought. As far as
Well,
so I'll be interested to see what he actually introduces.
yeah,
Right? That's not vaporware. Like, how is this going to be different than what he said 5 years ago?
yeah. Well, let me talk about the whole what you just described. As you know, and as many know, like I've had a Tesla for a while since 2019, and I purchased my Tesla with full self driving. So I'm very interested in this self driving automation as like the
Mm-hmm.
future. So robotaxis, yeah, the whole idea is I could have my car, say, parked in front of my garage. And then at any moment, if I have it enabled, right, to operate as a robotaxi, it could just leave my house,
Yeah.
go pick you up wherever you are around the area, drop you where you're going, and then come back to my house. That's the vision I got from how
Yeah.
Elon described
Yeah.
robotaxis. And as a result, make money.
Mhm.
Theoretically, make money while you're sleeping is
Yeah.
is what you can do. And so that's a pretty. I mean, and this is why I love. I mean, I love. There's many things I don't like about Elon Musk,
Mhm.
but these are some of the things I do love about him. Is just how he's very much visionary and thinking about this future that we've read about in books. And for the most part, like a lot of the things that he's visioning are coming to life.
Yeah.
However, I've had full self driving for 5 years now,
Mhm.
and if this is the technology that's going to be used for robotaxis, I think it's gonna flop
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Um,
while
no,
it's
it's not ready.
yeah, I have the whole. I mean, I'm like in my settings, I can actually turn on that I want more frequent updates. Like I want the new stuff right
Hmm.
away.
Yeah.
And so I have FSD 12, which is the latest FSD version that people have been talking about, and it's marginally better. It's not that much.
Really? I've read or heard even one of the commentators on CNBC was like, yes, if you haven't tried the newest update, it's like it's leaps and bounds better than what's been available. And so that's why he was still bullish on
Yeah.
Tesla. I'm like, really?
As a personal driver, I don't think it's that much different than 11. Now,
Hmm.
that being said, it could be that perhaps I don't have some of the features
Hmm.
because Tesla does do a lot of things where they push out features to certain people. You know, the whole like get influencers to have it first so they
Yeah.
can build up
Yeah.
hype. Because I
Yeah.
saw this video about FSD 12. I think it was on TikTok, where one of the things I've been waiting for is the ability to be driving in a parking lot,
Mhm.
and then my car can recognize a parking spot.
Oh, and then take it.
I tap it, and it'll just go and park in that parking spot.
Mm.
I don't have that capability on my car right now because I saw that in
Oh,
TikTok, and I was like, "Oh, it's
right.
finally here," but I couldn't do anything on mine.
Huh. Interesting.
So perhaps I just don't have some of the bells yet. But I'd say what it is pretty phenomenal at, which is what really sold me on the car 5 years ago,
Hmm.
is when you're doing like highway driving and just general driving where you don't need to make a lot of slow turns,
Hmm.
like going around banks and all that stuff.
Hmm.
That's pretty phenomenal. I have 93% confidence anytime I put it in FSD that I don't need to do anything other than
Right.
hold the steering wheel
Yeah.
because it forces you to.
Yeah.
But where it really lacks is slow speeds,
Hmm.
turns from stop signs.
Yeah.
And so that's why with the robotaxi, I think you could get it done, but it's going to be very annoying for the riders.
So the only thing I think Tesla has on robotaxis, well, depending on what he actually announces, like, okay, if it is able to use existing Teslas, then he's gonna win on scale. But as far as like being like the first robotaxi, obviously it's not, right? I was gonna say like here, at least in San Francisco, if anybody lives here has visited, like Waymo
Mm-hmm.
is fully active in San Francisco. Yeah, I can call one up on my app and they're completely driverless now, which is it. I haven't yet because because it's a slightly more expensive than Uber. when when I've looked it up, I was like, oh, okay, it's like a couple of bucks more. I'm gonna go with Uber. One of these days, I will record myself getting in a Waymo. You see them going all around the city. They're pretty natural looking as far as like an observer, like at intersections and stuff. They'll kind of slow, and then they'll just quickly turn or whatever. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, but the thing is they have all the lidar plus camera sensors like all around the car. I mean, you can't miss them,
Yeah, it's
right? Well,
hardware,
one
right?
because yeah, you can't miss them. One because it's a Jaguar, and two, it's got all this hardware attached to the car. I mean, it's integrated, meaning it's not just sitting on top of it. But yeah, it's so Tesla's. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he pulls a rabbit out of a hat because Tesla does collect all that information, right? From its existing, whatever, is it almost 2 million now? 2 million cars in the US. They have a
The
lot of
neural network, right?
data. Yeah, I think it'll what I find interesting is because his approach is different than how all the other autonomous car companies are doing it, right? He's like, we don't need LiDAR. We're going to rely solely on cameras,
Mhm.
which are visual like humans, right? Versus you have all this fancy radar mapping and stuff,
Well, you've
like
watched some of
the
the
Waymo.
videos where they show the raw data, right, with FSD.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah, yeah,
it's crazy. I'm like, wow, that's
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
recognition going on.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how he makes it different than what he announced last time. But yeah, just saying, if people didn't know, like robotaxis, they're already a thing. It's depending on when you go where you live, and they'll be rolling it out. At least Waymo, I've heard they're rolling it out to some additional cities,
Well, I think
like
Waymo is
Phoenix.
also
Phoenix
in
is a big
Phoenix.
city. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to
But
start going to more cities outside of San Francisco and Phoenix.
I believe so. But yeah, I mean, they're cool. Like you see them like going all around, and at one point, all the test drivers just disappeared from them. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess they've made that much progress. But
Yeah.
yeah, you see them all around the city. Cruise used to be, well, until Cruise had its problems. But yeah, so it's like it's the only one left as far as I've seen, at least, just out
Yeah.
in the open. So if Tesla's Robotaxi is one, if it's relying on existing Teslas, okay, maybe it works. If it's relying on them building low cost Teslas, I was like, all right, well, we'll see how that goes. Um, maybe
Yeah.
if they made it like a Waymo. What'll be funny if he could like, oh yeah, we introducing this low cost, whatever our robo taxi Tesla, and it's gonna have lidar. That'll be funny.
I feel like he wouldn't go that route. I feel like whenever he's pretty convicted in things, he just keeps it, right. He just
Yeah,
doesn't go back.
he
About
needs to
the
fix the stock price.
well, yeah. So stock price, I think one, I'm expecting a pop on Monday because of this news. Whether it's
Hmm.
temper or not, who knows? But I think it's gonna pop, and then from here till now, it'll probably start. I think it'll cause it to rise up before that date. It's about 4 months away, so it's kind of far. But that whole by the
Yeah,
rumor theory, I
yeah,
think it'll go up. But
yeah.
speaking of the investment, like I'm pretty happy that he made that announcement over the weekend because
Uh-huh.
I've been buying this dip, continuing to buy this dip in Tesla,
Mm.
and I got so low that I decided to sell a cash secured put. I sold a put option for
Yep.
150, expiring a month from now.
Mm-hmm.
If it hits 150, if Tesla's stock price goes down to 150 and when my option is expired, then I have to
Mm-hmm.
buy 100 shares at 150.
Right.
So
Yeah.
$15,000 basically.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't hit 150, then I just collect that premium what I sold it
Premium.
for, which was
Yep.
about $600. That's just mine. So basically, it's a
Yeah.
4% profit from the
Yeah.
$15,000, right? Is how to think about it.
Yeah.
And so it's a bullish move, right? You think you're expecting it to not go that low, or at least not be that low
Yeah.
a month from now.
Yeah.
So that's what I did with Tesla. Is one, if it hits 150, I think that's going to be a big bounce
Mm-hmm.
price, meaning a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are waiting for that price. Like
Yeah.
mentally, people like round numbers, and
Yeah.
150 is that halfway point
It's a
from its high of
yeah.
300.
Yeah.
If it gets below 150, I'm actually pretty happy if I can get
Mm-hmm.
Tesla stock at $150.
Yeah. My price target would probably be like in the low hundreds, like
Yeah.
120, 125. But that's only because, again, when you watch too much analyst news, right, it almost is like too much information and you just kind of like don't make a decision. But really, because of Tesla's delivery numbers were like whatever 8% lower than what everybody was predicting, it was like a big deal. And then this news came out about, right? no more budget EVs, which the market was expecting. But Elon was trying to counter that with, oh, I'm going to talk about robo taxis now, right? Which is so we'll see. There's a lot of moving parts, and so I was like, oh, all right, I'll just wait.
Yeah. Here's what I think, because we haven't really talked about the low cost EV yet. I don't think the August unveil is going to be centered on a low cost EV.
Hmm.
However, I do think that he will weave it in to the narrative and the story.
Hmm.
But I feel like there may not be anything tangible on August 8th,
No,
meaning like
no,
unveiling this new prototype, right,
yeah,
of the low
yeah,
cost EV.
yeah,
However, I do think a low cost EV is still in the works. And I'll say in the next year and a half, there will be an unveiling of
yeah,
Tesla's $25,000 model.
yeah,
That's my bet. What do you
yeah.
think?
I mean, it would make sense if he was wanting to hold off because the demand is like kind of slowing down. It makes no sense to introduce something that is even that's more low margin, right? In a market where there is no real big demand for it. Or I guess too, there's no big demand for it, and he probably wouldn't want to shift demand from at least the current like mid range models, right, into something like a low budget cost
Yeah.
Tesla. So
Well,
I
I don't know, how
agree.
do you feel about the justification they gave for the low demand? Because they said that some of sorry, not demand, low deliveries,
Hmm.
because deliveries I think is different than demand. Demand is how many
Hmm.
people want it. Deliveries are just how many
Right.
actually got built and delivered.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
justification they gave was one, their factory, I think in Austin, went through a big retrofitting period to accommodate some things with the new Model 3. And so that reduced the time that they could actually produce vehicles and get them out.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
two, there's a fire in their Germany factory that actually caused a halt of production for several weeks.
Hmm. Hmm.
So those two things were main contributors to lower deliveries.
Hmm.
What I did hear from over the social waves was delivery times for cars have extended in the last couple months here. So
Hmm.
that's a leading indicator of demand versus production. Curious, like, so do you buy that one, or do you think
I
actual softness in demand?
I I don't buy the delivery like that as an excuse. One, because again, all the counterpoint things that are also happening, right? Like Tesla is starting to market itself now, which you wouldn't do
Yeah,
if you didn't have a demand issue, right? Because again, that's been Tesla's thing is like, oh, we don't need to market because we have so much demand and people want our cars. Why waste money? But now they're starting to market. And then a lot of discounts on existing inventory. And then so I'm like, well, if demand wasn't an issue, you shouldn't have existing inventory.
yeah,
So this is one thing I haven't completely understood, right? It's well, one, Teslas don't really offer that much customization, right? And so whatever is on quotes in inventory, you should be able to pass that off pretty easily if you have that much demand or people waiting for their Teslas to be delivered, if that makes sense. But I guess I mean I know like deliveries also includes like getting the right titles signed off, etc. But it's just still like I've read too many counterpoint stories on like why it's probably more of a demand issue than it's actually a delivery issue.
yeah. No, it's
Um,
interesting. Another thing that kind of validates what you're saying is the whole FSD discussion we were having previously, where they're trying to really push FSD because it's a high margin item for them, right?
15,000 is it $15,000 still? I haven't checked.
Six
Like
to six
remember.
thousand. Here's something interesting. I went to Tesla's site to go see how much I was going to go through the builder,
Hmm.
and this is validating what you just said. I clicked the
Hmm.
Model Y, and
Hmm.
the primary call to action is shop available, not
Yeah. See.
not to build your Tesla,
Yeah.
which is what
Hmm.
used to be the primary call to action.
Yeah. Hmm.
I can't even figure out. now how to build my own one.
That's a bit your.
I'm like, it's not clear to me. Okay, I had to get through it through the nav bar. That's very interesting. Full self driving is $12,000 now,
Okay, I
but it
wasn't too far off.
includes enhanced autopilot. Enhanced autopilot is $6,000. So technically, full self driving is $6,000,
Yeah,
which is the cost of
it's
it.
so it's so weird the way they're breaking it out. It's like, all right, so is there a normal autopilot or is it just enhanced?
Enhanced autopilot is, well, it comes with normal autopilot for free.
Right, and then you get enhanced, and then you get full FSD.
Yeah, enhanced is navigate on
Wow.
autopilot, auto lane change, auto park, summon, smart summon.
Yeah.
So technically, that's the FSD I bought 5 years ago. Was all that
Okay.
stuff,
Right.
and now I think over the years they leveled it up to where FSD includes auto steering on city streets, traffic light
Mhm.
and stop sign control, and in the future they'll probably add more things to it. But they rebranded FSD as enhanced autopilot.
Yeah. See, that's so lame. Well, lame in that he's like in the beginning, right? They sold it as FSD, full self driving,
Mhm.
right? And then bait and switch. It's like, oh, you know what? It's actually enhanced autopilot. You're not actually getting full FSD.
Yeah. All right.
Uh,
Well, we
we'll
talked a lot
see.
about that one, and there's a lot to talk about, but
Yeah.
they're very good stories. Oh, one thing I did want to say about the
Yeah.
demand is the China EV company has reported their deliveries. So Neo, Xpeng, Li Auto, BYD,
BYD.
and they're actually still growing in China from a demand
Mm-hmm.
perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something I think about, because
Yeah.
we know that Tesla compared to those companies aren't doing as good as they should be.
Yeah.
And so I think Tesla also needs to really solve their China demand.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they can do that, that's key. Oh, and the other thing, the reason why I brought up the FSD push is because I also think another lever of growth that Tesla's really focused on is
Mm-hmm.
services. And so
Yeah.
if you pay attention to their quarter over quarter earnings, you'll see that their
Mm-hmm.
services revenue line continues to grow.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why FSD is considered, I think, a service versus automobile
Mm.
sales.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's why
that
they're
makes sense.
yeah, so that's why they're
Makes
pushing
sense.
FSD,
Yeah.
because it's a high margin service line item,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
can demonstrate
Eventually they'll
growth
probably
and
turn
make
it.
Wall Street happy.
Yeah. I mean, they'll at one point, I don't know if it's still like, but it was they were offering it as a subscription for people who didn't buy it.
You can
So it's like,
still subscribe at any time. It's
mm,
like $200, I think, for a month.
okay. I was gonna say like TikTok clip where you were mentioning the Chinese automakers. Recently, I've seen a lot of people on TikTok talk about BYD and how awesome their cars. Look how slick this is, and like, yeah, that's the thing with Chinese automakers. They look slick and stuff, but they're probably gonna fall apart within a year. It's like hilarious, and it's like I'm not saying this because I it's like because I have experience. I've when I went to Thailand, like BYD was a thing, and it was like all over the place. And I was asking a bunch of locals there, like, what is how do people actually think about BYD? And it's like you buy them for the looks, but then the people who buy them because they look good are all crying a year later because they have so many quality
Yeah.
issues. And so like I see like you guys don't understand. It's like cars are actually pretty complex piece of machineries, and you've got all these like things that the car can do. It's got like the automated trunk. It's got sliding outs, dashboards, and like that's like
Yeah.
God. Like to maintain all of that, it's just like sure it looks cool, but they're not built for longevity. Like my Volkswagen, the one I'm still driving today is I bought it in like 2000
I'm a
and it's
big
still
believer
going.
in you get what you pay for. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
that's an example. Yeah, I
Um,
think the BYD cars are like 12,000. Is that right?
yeah, they're pretty cheap, and so that's why they've grown a lot. It's because they're cheap. Even in Thailand, people still buy them, but it's because they're cheap. But then a lot of people also kind of regret it
Yeah.
when they
Well,
realize like, oh no,
that's great for like commercial fleets though. So taxi services. When you when I think about BYD, I've seen the BYD cars. They do look slick on the outside. But
Mm-hmm.
when I hear about what you just said, I think of the
Mm-hmm.
the smart cars that we used to have all around.
Yes.
Just like mass
Yeah, the little
production
yeah,
cookie cutter cars that are made
yeah,
cheaply for
yeah.
people who just want a cheap car.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
I
so
probably
yeah.
need a TikTok clip. BYD sucks. I bet you
Cool.
that'll get a lot of views.
All right, so more to come on that. We'll always be covering Tesla since they're a big company. But did you want to kick us off with our second story?
Yeah, so let's see. Amazon cancels self checkout. And so this to me was super interesting because I remember my first experience was this was actually when I was visiting Seattle, and a friend was like, "Hey, you want to go check out Amazon Fresh's their brand new store that they are introducing and have this new self check. Well, I can't even call it self checkout. It's basically walk in, walk out. You go into an Amazon Fresh store, you basically just pick all your items that you want and you just walk out of the store. You don't have to go through any checkout or anything. The only requirement was is that you had to have kind of like the app set up, and then you walk in, grab all your stuff, and then you just walk out, and you are automatically sent an itemized bill that's paid for. And then if there was anything wrong, you just kind of dispute it online, and that was it. So that was the cool thing. Wow, this is like many years ago, I feel at this point. But yeah, Amazon is kind of throwing in the towel on it mostly and saying we are removing it from our Amazon Fresh stores, at least here in the US. I'll let you speak about the interesting detail about that, which I was like, oh, so not so self checkout.
I've used Amazon Fresh a lot. We have one about a 5 minute drive from my house here, an Amazon Fresh store, and same as you. I remember hearing about this new technology. It started and was branded as Amazon Go. I think that was their whole vision: is how do we create a retail store where anyone can just walk in and go. And I'll talk about it in a bit, but the reason why I was very familiar and laser focused on what they were doing is because the startup I co-founded in 2000, we were building exactly what Amazon Go it was trying to build. So I'll talk about it in a bit, but basically what happened is Amazon had to unveil a little bit about the internals of their Just Walk Out technology. I think it was due to some lawsuit that happened recently. And as a result, they unveiled that
Hmm.
they have about 1,000 people in India who are actually monitoring the videos that are being streamed or recorded live. If you ever walk into an Amazon Fresh or Amazon Go, if you look at the ceiling, you just see hundreds of cameras. And so until now, most people, were taught to believe that those were sensors and artificial intelligence and machine learning and tracking that
Right.
was actually, detecting what you were picking up and if you put them down. So that way, when you walked out of the store,
Yeah.
like Amazon knew what exactly was in your bag or your hand. But after the events came out this last week,
Yeah.
they unveiled that it was actually a room of people or a group of people in India that were live monitoring your shopping and making determinations of what you purchased to then be able to charge you successfully. This is why if you ever go into a Just Walk Out store and walk out, yeah, it actually takes 10-20 minutes maybe to get the receipt because there's a lot of validation going on.
Mm,
For
yeah.
me, I thought it was
Right.
just
Now you know why.
yeah. Well, now we know why. I always thought that was peculiar, but I thought it was that. So here's what I thought it was. I thought that, and this is a little bit true because Amazon did say that they do have intelligence working in parallel to the manual vetters, but that technology just hasn't
Mm-hmm.
got up to the bar that they needed to be to go forward with
Right.
how it is implemented today. So I just want to give them credit. They did have machine learning and other automated learning going on with this. It just wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they are going to start investing more in their smart carts. And so, per the news outlets, they say that those will start rolling out to Whole Foods and Amazon Fresh stores. So, to talk about kind of my correlation to my startup, back
Uh-huh.
in 2011, co-founded a startup. It was called Q Through, and we raised
Uh-huh.
some money from an investor in a seed round. And what we had built was we wanted to make it easier for you to skip the line in a grocery store.
Uh-huh.
So we built this solution that you can walk into a grocery store, scan the barcodes
Mm-hmm.
of items with your phone, and then at the end
Right.
of your shopping journey, there's a small kiosk that is supposed to replace self checkouts with a QR code. When you scan that QR code, it would transact, so it would make the payment
Mm-hmm.
and then print
Mm-hmm.
out a receipt for you. And then you could just walk out of the grocery store because you've already paid. So that's what we built in
Right.
2012. And so that's why I was like so keen on the Amazon stuff going on.
Right. Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
was
I just
actually
remember it
happy.
being interesting. Who knows if you would have kept going for another decade and figured it out, and Amazon gave up, money right there.
Yeah, that's a story for another day because there's a lot of drama during that time. But one of
Yeah.
the most, one of the best, I think, one of the best stages of my life journey, I'd say, was during those times, just because
Mm.
I learned so much and also I made a ton of great and new connections. But it is a
Yeah.
very long story to talk about. So maybe
Yeah.
maybe one episode we'll talk about it.
Founder story. Maybe
Yeah,
that. Yeah. That can be a whole episode.
yeah.
We'll see.
So Amazon's pulling this technology for most of their Amazon Fresh stores, but there's some conflicting stories on how much they're going to keep around.
Yeah.
Some outlets say that they're pulling it completely and they're only going to keep it in the UK at their Amazon Go stores. Some other outlets are saying that they're going to keep the Just Walk Out technology at all Amazon Go stores, because the Amazon Go stores are different than Amazon Fresh, and with their third party partners. So for example, here at the Seahawks Stadium, they actually use Just Walk Out technology at their store. And so that's an example of perhaps
Yeah.
something that Amazon could keep around. It's a bit weird though. To me, it's why not just keep it around for everything if you're going to keep it around for something, because you
Yeah.
still have to use manual people to
Yeah.
verify it, right?
That's why I was gonna say it's like calling it technology seems kind of like mislabeling
Yeah.
because it's not really technology. Yes, there are cameras and such, which I guess is the technology. Maybe
Well, I
the
think the algorithm. I mean,
platform
there
to
is some.
record stuff.
I think there are like I said. I think there are some algorithmic implementations and machine learning going
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
It still requires manual intervention.
yeah. Not as impressive as I
Yeah.
thought it was.
Yeah. And they're going to invest in their smart carts. So smart carts is another thing that we were looking into back in 2013, 2014. There was a whole
Mm-hmm.
wave of retail trying to test this, how to make it easier for people to check out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Walmart tested this actually back in 2013, 2014. You can grab an item.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can use a lot of it was NFC back then. Maybe you can use
Mm-hmm.
NFC or some type of like scanning technology,
Mm-hmm.
hit it, and then put it in your cart.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to the end of your shopping journey, just pay from your
Yep.
cart.
Yep.
I don't know if that's what Amazon's doing as well, but that's
It.
the idea of a smart cart.
Yeah. I. That's what I was thinking it was leaning towards. Not only because it's simpler, but it's also very scalable if you think about it. So what it made me think about when they said shopping cart was I don't know if it's Uniqlo here or actually a lot of retail stores here. I don't know if this is how they do it, but like I went to a Uniqlo in Asia, in Thailand specifically, and bought some clothes. Went up to the counter and I was expecting them to, scan, beep beep beep. All they did was they just put all the clothes, they piled it up, and they just dropped it on the counter, kind of mashed down on it, and it read everything that had been put on the counter in front of them. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've seen that. I just haven't been shopping in a long time. But yeah, I feel like that technology has come a long ways to where it was back then, like with NFC or whatever. But yeah, I mean, literally just, my pile of clothes, it's stacked it, and it captured it all. I was like, okay. So when I saw a shopping cart, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's something like that where it requires more labeling, right? Because there's some type of sensor that is in those tags now versus just the barcode you're scanning. But I thought that was actually pretty cool. That's kind of where I
Yeah.
was thinking shopping cart. The smart shopping cart would probably do something similar.
I think there's a whole big market for optimizing, technology in this space,
Yeah.
especially as retailers and other smaller businesses just want to optimize their operational costs.
Mm-hmm.
With McDonald's, for example, the whole thing about the minimum wage in California. So
Mm-hmm.
now the tactic there, or the fear or whatever, or the strategy is that McDonald's is going to think more about how they don't need as many people working in their restaurants because they have the big order, the big order tablet, for example. So I think there's a
Yep.
big market, this space.
All right. Well, it was a good episode. Episode 9. Another week.
Yeah,
Really, I guess also to sign us off, I just have to do that one call out. Reddit is down almost to where it opened around IPO. So,
like 42,
anyways, yeah, like 40, 47, 47.
47, but still up 30% from the price
But
I could have
still
got
up
it at.
30%. Yes, but down, wow, from like whatever, where it spiked to 70 down
Yeah.
to like 47. But
How about,
anyways,
how about
that's it.
DJT, Donald Trump's stock? Do you want to pull that
Man,
one up real quick?
so many bag holders are going to be in that one. That one was down like 25% over on the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that back down to 40.
Is it
It's got
under
a
its
long
open
way to
price?
fall.
Yeah.
I forget what it opened at. I don't remember. It opened like in the 30s
Okay.
actually. All
Well,
right, great week.
yeah, good episode. And please follow us. Please subscribe, like, and let us know how you feel about what we're talking about in the comments. We're just here to provide insight, hopefully be entertaining, and also bringing the latest stories going on in tech, life, world, finance. We're having fun.
Whatever's interesting. All right.
See you later.
Bye.